There is a corner of the natural world where the rules of botany are turned completely upside down, where plants do not wait patiently for nutrients to drift through the soil, where leaves have become jaws, tubes, glue traps, vacuums, and labyrinths, where the fly that lands on a beautiful glistening leaf does not fly away again. These are the carnivorous plants, over 800 species scattered across every continent, thriving in the poorest, wettest, most inhospitable soils on Earth. Today we are going to meet 20 of the most extraordinary hunters the plant kingdom has ever produced. 1. Venus flytrap, Dionaea muscipula. No plant on Earth is more famous, and none deserves the fame more. The Venus flytrap grows wild in only one place on the planet, a narrow strip of coastal bogs in North and South Carolina. Its trap is a pair of hinged lobes lined with interlocking teeth and covered inside with tiny trigger hairs. Touch one hair, nothing happens. Touch a second hair within 20 seconds, an electrical action potential fires across the leaf, water rushes between cells, and the trap snaps shut in under a third of a second. The plant can count. It needs 2 touches because it cannot afford to waste energy snapping at raindrops. Once closed, if the prey continues to struggle, the trap seals completely and floods with digestive enzymes. The insect is dissolved over 5 to 12 days. Two, Waterwheel Plant, Aldrovanda vesiculosa. The Venus flytrap has a cousin, and almost nobody knows about it. The waterwheel plant is entirely aquatic, floating rootless in freshwater lakes and ponds across Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia. Instead of 2 lobes, it has tiny snap traps arranged in whorls around a central stem, like a spinning water wheel. Each trap is roughly 5 millimeters across and snaps shut around water fleas and mosquito larvae in milliseconds. It is one of the rarest plants on Earth, extinct in many countries due to water pollution, and one of the most overlooked wonders of the carnivorous plant world. Three, Purple pitcher plant, Sarracenia purpurea. The purple pitcher plant is the most widespread of the North American pitchers, growing in bogs from Florida all the way up to northern Canada. Unlike its relatives, it does not produce digestive enzymes of its own. Instead, it collects rainwater in its cup-shaped pitcher and relies on a community of specialist bacteria, mosquito larvae, and mites living inside the fluid to break down captured prey. Insects are lured by nectar on the lip, lose their footing on the slippery rim, and fall into the watery soup below. It is a tiny ecosystem, a bog inside a plant. 4. Yellow trumpet, Sarracenia flava. Standing up to a meter tall with brilliant yellow-green pitchers, Sarracenia flava is one of the most visually stunning bog plants in North America. What makes it truly sinister is its chemistry. The nectar it secretes along the pitcher's rim contains conine, the same alkaloid found in poison hemlock, the plant that killed Socrates. Insects that feed on the nectar become drowsy and disoriented, stumble over the rim, and fall inside. Once in the pitcher, downward-pointing hairs prevent any escape. The trumpet has been perfecting this chemical sedation strategy for millions of years. Five, Parrot pitcher plant, Sarracenia psittacina. The parrot pitcher is unlike any of its relatives. Its pitchers lie flat on the ground, curved and hooded like a parrot's beak, with a small entrance hole surrounded by translucent windows. Prey enters through the hole but cannot find its way back out. The windows look like exits but lead into walls, while inward-pointing hairs funnel the creature deeper inside. During floods, the parrot pitcher becomes semi-aquatic and has been documented trapping small salamanders and tadpoles along with its usual insect prey. It is essentially a lobster pot made of leaves. 6. Giant Nepenthes, Nepenthes rajah. This is where carnivorous plants stop being charming and start being genuinely alarming. Nepenthes rajah grows in the highland forests of Borneo and produces the largest pitchers of any plant on Earth, up to 41 centimeters tall and capable of holding 3.5 liters of digestive fluid. These pitchers have been found containing drowned rats, large frogs and lizards, but Nepenthes rajah has also evolved a mutualism with tree shrews, which perch on the pitcher lid to eat nectar and defecate directly into the fluid below. The plant feeds on their droppings without having to kill anything at all. Seven. Monkey cups, Nepenthes alata. Native to the Philippines, Nepenthes alata is one of the most widely cultivated tropical pitcher plants. Its pitchers hang from long tendrils like lanterns in the forest canopy. The name monkey cups comes from observations of primates, birds and lizards drinking from the pitchers, a behavior tolerated by the plant because these visitors sometimes drown and become nutrients, and their visits may help pollinate the flowers. It is a delicate balance between using animals as food and using them as partners. 8. Heliamphora, Heliamphora nutans. Heliamphora grows on the ancient sandstone tabletop mountains, Tepuis, of Venezuela and Guyana, some of the most remote and geologically ancient landscapes on Earth. These plants are considered the most primitive living pitcher plants, offering a glimpse into what the very first pitfall traps may have looked like. They have no digestive enzymes, relying entirely on bacteria in their rainwater-filled cups. They are also pollinated by bees that hover over the cloud-wrapped summit in one of the most isolated ecosystems imaginable. Nine. Cape Sundew, Drosera capensis. The Cape Sundew is the gateway plant for anyone fascinated by carnivorous species. Easy to grow, vigorous, and utterly beautiful. Native to the Cape region of South Africa, it produces long, strap-shaped leaves covered in hundreds of red tentacles, each topped with a glistening blob of sticky mucilage. An insect that lands on the leaf is immediately stuck. The surrounding tentacles then slowly curl inward, pressing more sticky surface against the prey over the course of minutes to hours. The leaf eventually wraps around the victim like a hand closing into a fist. It is slow, deliberate, and completely inescapable. Ten. Round-leaf sundew, Drosera rotundifolia. Charles Darwin spent years obsessively experimenting on this small bog sundew, feeding it cheese, raw meat, and various chemicals to understand how it sensed and digested prey. He wrote in 1860 that he cared more about Drosera than the origin of all the species in the world. The round-leaf sundew grows across the northern hemisphere, in Siberian bogs, Scottish moorlands, and Canadian fens, making it one of the most widespread carnivorous plants on Earth. Tiny and unassuming, it catches midges, ants, and springtails, and survives some of the harshest climates any carnivorous plant endures. 11. King Sundew, Drosera regia. If the Cape Sundew is the gateway, the King Sundew is the throne room. Drosera regia produces leaves up to 70 centimeters long, by far the largest of any sundew, sweeping upward from rocky mountain streambeds in a tiny region of South Africa's mountains. It is critically endangered in the wild, with only a handful of populations remaining. Genetically, it is one of the most ancient sundews, sitting at the base of the family tree. It can catch large insects, damselflies, and has even been reported trapping small frogs that brush against its enormous sticky leaves. "12. Common butterwort, Pinguicula vulgaris, the butterworts look almost innocent, flat, pale green rosettes clinging to wet rocks in Arctic tundra, alpine meadows and mountain streams across Europe and North America. Their leaves are covered in microscopic stalked glands that secrete a greasy, sticky mucilage. Small flies, fungus gnats and springtails land and are immediately glued. Unlike sundews, butterworts barely move. The leaf edges may curl very slightly, but the trap is essentially passive. What makes Pinguicula vulgaris additionally unusual is that it also digests pollen grains blown onto its surface, absorbing nutrients from plant matter as well as animals. Mexican butterwort, Pinguicula gypsicola. This species grows exclusively on white gypsum rock outcrops in the Mexican state of San Luis Potosí, one of the most specialized habitats of any carnivorous plant. It produces two types of leaves depending on the season: wide, sticky carnivorous leaves during the wet season when insects are abundant, and narrow, succulent-like non-carnivorous leaves during the dry season when it essentially goes dormant. This seasonal switching between a carnivore and a succulent within a single plant is one of the most remarkable physiological adaptations in the entire plant world. Greater Bladderwort, Utricularia vulgaris. Bladderworts look like nothing, thin, feathery stems drifting in freshwater ponds across Europe and Asia, with cheerful yellow flowers poking above the surface. Below the water, the reality is very different. The plant is studded with tiny hollow bladders, each one a precision-engineered suction trap. Water is actively pumped out of each bladder, creating negative pressure inside. Trigger hairs on the outside of the hinged door are so sensitive that even a water flea brushing past will cause the door to open, the bladder to expand, and the prey to be sucked inside, all in less than 1 millisecond. Nothing in the plant world moves faster. Humped Bladderwort, Utricularia gibba. This tiny tropical bladderwort holds a record that has nothing to do with trapping speed. Utricularia gibba has the smallest genome of any flowering plant ever measured. It has stripped its DNA down to almost nothing, eliminating vast stretches of what scientists once called junk DNA. Yet it is a fully functional, flowering, prey-catching plant. It grows in still waters across the tropics worldwide and is considered an ideal organism for studying how genomes evolve, proof that a living thing can function perfectly well with a fraction of the genetic material most plants carry. Corkscrew Plant Genlisea violacea. Genlisea is the plant you will never see trapping prey because everything happens underground, in the dark. Its traps are Y-shaped tubes buried in waterlogged soil, spiraling outward from a central digestive chamber. Tiny soil organisms, protozoa, nematodes, rotifers, are attracted inward by chemical secretions. Inward-pointing hairs prevent any retreat. The only direction is deeper into the spiral toward the digestive glands at the center. There is no escape. The corkscrew plant holds a related record to Utricularia gibba, among the smallest genomes of any plant, suggesting a shared evolutionary drive toward extreme genetic economy in carnivorous lineages. Cobra Lily, Darlingtonia californica. The Cobra Lily grows only in cold mountain seeps along the coast of California and Oregon, where icy underground water keeps the soil permanently frigid. Its pitcher is shaped like a cobra rearing to strike, complete with a forked leaf resembling a serpent's tongue. Inside, the upper hood is covered with translucent windows, patches of thin tissue that let in light. An insect that enters and tries to escape will fly toward the light of these windows, repeatedly striking the walls. Exhausted and confused, it eventually falls into the digestive fluid below. The Cobra Lily is also one of the few pitcher plants that relies entirely on bacteria rather than enzymes to digest its prey. (18) Cephalotus, Cephalotus follicularis. Cephalotus is the ultimate evolutionary oddity. It is the only member of its entire plant family, a family with no living relatives anywhere on Earth, and it grows wild only in a small area of swampy coastal heath in southwestern Australia. Its pitchers look uncannily like Nepenthes, but are completely unrelated, having evolved the pitfall trap design independently. It produces two types of leaves: flat, normal-looking photosynthetic leaves, and small, heavily lidded pitchers specialized for trapping crawling insects like ants. It is a masterclass in convergent evolution, the same brilliant solution arrived at twice on opposite sides of the planet. (19) Rainbow plant Biblis gigantea. The rainbow plant looks at first glance like something from a fairy tale. Its long, narrow leaves are covered in two types of glands: stalked mucilage glands that trap insects and flat glands that secrete digestive enzymes. And when sunlight hits them at the right angle, the whole plant shimmers with every color of the spectrum. It is native to the heathlands of southwestern Australia and grows in sandy, waterlogged soil, seasonally flooded in winter and bone-dry in summer. Despite its beauty, there is debate among botanists about whether Biblis is truly carnivorous or merely sticky. Its ability to absorb nutrients from trapped prey has only recently been confirmed. (20) Roridula, Roridula gorgonius. Roridula is perhaps the most philosophically interesting plant on this list because it raises the question, what exactly makes a plant carnivorous? Roridula gorgonius grows in the fynbos of South Africa and is covered in long, resin-tipped tentacles that trap insects with extraordinary efficiency, but it cannot digest them. Instead, it has a full-time partner, a species of assassin bug, Pomeridea roridulae, that lives exclusively on Roridula, feeds on the trapped insects, and deposits its nutrient-rich droppings directly onto the plant's surface. The plant absorbs those nutrients through its leaves. Roridula catches the prey, the bug digests it, the plant eats the result. It is not quite a carnivore. From the lightning snap of the Venus flytrap to the philosophical strangeness of Roridula, these 20 plants represent one of evolution's most creative responses to adversity. They did not adapt to richer soil. They did not migrate to better ground. They looked at the insects buzzing around them and decided that is the nutrient source, and over millions of years they built 20 different ways